to enjoy. Today, Otaku Sensei is going to be recommending the top 10 anime with a male lead who looks like a loser but is strong as hell part 3. And if you do enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're new, remember to turn on notifications for more upcoming top 10 videos. Also, there's a link to Otaku Sensei's Patreon and Discord server in the description, so join the Sensei server to chat and chill with other weebs and otakus. Without wasting any more time, let's kick off this list.
Nice to see your face. Nice to see your face.
In 10th place is Punchline. After escaping a bus hijacking with the help of masked superhero Strange Juice, Yuta Iradatsu finds his soul separated from his body and in the care of a perverse cat spirit, Chiranosuke. As a spirit, Yuta wanders around his residence, the Karai House, aiming to regain his body and observe the other residents. Meika Daihatsu, a genius inventor, Mikuten Narugino, a cheerful idol, Ito Hikiotani, a shut-in NEET, and Rabura Chichibi, a spiritual medium. After catching a glimpse of Narugino's undergarments, Chiranosuke reveals to Yuta that he becomes exponentially stronger upon seeing panties. However, if he sees another pair while he is still a spirit, his power will cause an asteroid to crash into Earth, ending the world and killing his friends. In 9th place is Black Bullet. In the year 2021, a parasitic virus known as Gastria infects humans and turns them into monsters. What is left of mankind now lives within the monolith walls that are made of Veranium, the only material that can hurt Gastria. To counter the threat that the Gastria pose, cursed children, female children whose bodies contain trace amounts of the virus, which grant them superhuman abilities, officially called initiators by the Tendo Civil Security, are given partners called promoters, people who work to guide and protect the young initiators. These teams of 2 are sent out on missions to fight the monsters created by the Gastria virus and keep them at bay. In 8th place is B, The Beginning. On the islands of Cremona, a vigilante runs amok. Celebrated by some and hunted by others, the notorious Killer B takes justice into his own hands, armed with a sharp blade and superhuman abilities. Unable to apprehend this renegade, the Royal Investigation Service, RIS, calls upon the expertise of Keith Flick, a seasoned yet eccentric detective who is relegated to the Archives Department following a personal loss. As crimes in Cremona begin to escalate, from stealthy executions of wrongdoers to sophisticated strikes on public figures, it soon becomes clear that there is more than one person responsible. With the help of his impulsive sidekick, Lily Hoshina, and unexpected aid from the elusive Killer B himself, Keith begins to unravel plots involving secret organizations, domestic terrorism, and human experiments. When the involvement of the RIS extends beyond the scope of justice, the extent of the government's corruption, as well as the trustworthiness of close allies, are thrown into question. In 7th place is Shijo Saikyo no Deshi Kenichi. The story focuses on Kenichi Shirahama, a 15-year-old high school student and a longtime victim of bullying. At the beginning of the story, he befriends transfer student Miyu Furinji and decides to become stronger. He follows her to Ryo Zanpaku, a dojo housing several masters of diverse martial arts, led by her grandfather, Hayato Furinji. After learning basics from Miyu, Kenichi overcomes a high-ranking member of the school's karate club and becomes a target for all the delinquents in the school. While initially training to protect himself, Kenichi eventually becomes a full disciple of Ryo Zanpaku and becomes enamored of Miyu. Subsequently, Kenichi's daily routine is divided between training under the 6 masters of Ryo Zanpaku and his fights against the members of Ragnarok, a gang of bullies trying to alternately recruit or vanquish him. After Ragnarok is disbanded, Kenichi and Miyu are targeted by Yomi, a group of disciples personally trained by a master of an organization rivaling Ryo Zanpaku, Yami. While the masters of Ryo Zanpaku and their allies follow the principle of always sparing their opponents' lives, the members of Yomi believe that any means of defeating an opponent is valid, including murder. In the struggle between the 2 factions, Kenichi, Miyu, and their allies fight the members of Yomi, while his masters confront Yami. The conflict between the 2 factions culminate with the final battle to stop Yami's main objective, which is to usher a new era of chaos and warfare in the world, also known as the Eternal Sunset. Once the Eternal Sunset is prevented and their main leader is defeated, Yami and Yomi are disbanded as well. Kenichi then continues to train at Ryo Zanpaku, and years later he becomes a famous novelist. But it's hinted that he also becomes Miyu's husband and a martial arts master more powerful than her grandfather, the Elder, who had always sworn he would only allow Miyu to marry someone capable of defeating him first. In 6th place is Trinity Blood. The background is in the distant future after the destruction brought about by Armageddon. The war between the vampires and humans continues to persist. In order to protect the humans from the vampires, the Vatican has to rely on other allies to counter the situation. The protagonist, Abel Nightroad, is a traveling priest from the Vatican and a Krusnik, a vampire that drinks the blood of vampires. He's a member of the Axe, a special operations group led by Cardinal Katharina Sforza. He encounters a young girl called Esther, who decides to go with him to Rome and train at the Vatican. Soon after he meets her, the Order of Rosencreuz, led by Abel's twin, Cain, tries to continue the war so they can rule the world. It's up to Abel and Axe to try and stop them. In 5th place is Busou Renkin. The story begins when high school student Kazuki Muto is killed one night saving a mysterious girl from a monster, only to wake up in his school dorm believing it to have been a dream. However, he soon finds out that dream wasn't a dream at all when a giant serpentine monster attacks him and his sister. Tokiko Sumura, the girl he saved, explains that the monster is a homunculus. Kazuki had been attacked and killed by it when he was rescuing her. However, she, feeling responsible for him, revived him by placing a Kakugane medallion in his chest, serving as a replacement heart. The Kakugane, as Tokiko explains, is an alchemical device that, when activated, takes a certain form based on the Kakugane's user, forming a unique Busou Renkin. The Busou Renkin is the only thing that can destroy a homunculus monster. Using this, Kazuki creates his own Busou Renkin, the Sunlight Heart, a huge lance. Along with Tokiko and her own Busou Renkin, the Valkyrie Skirt, an execution scythe, Kazuki joins the fight against the homunculi and their master. In 4th place is Jushin Enbu, Hero Tales. For citizens of the Qin Empire, justice is a myth. Lord Kero, the deranged shogun of the Imperial Army, blazes a trail of terror across the countryside in search of a sacred sword that will make him a god. Standing in his way is Taito, an omnipotent star reborn in human form, a young hero who vows to use his celestial strength to avenge those slaughtered by the villainous shogun. Taito's mystical powers steer him towards a violent showdown with Kero, and if used recklessly, his newfound abilities could shred the very fabric of his being. To master the art of control and become a heroic martial artist, Taito must seek the guidance of others like him, the 7 Starborn warriors with the strength to shatter a corrupt empire. In 3rd place is Nanbaka. Nanba is the world's most formidable prison, built to incarcerate criminals who are too slippery to stay in ordinary confinement. The 4 inmates who occupy Cell 13 are particularly cunning on that behalf, having escaped every other prison with a perfect success rate. There is Jugo, a specialist in locks who has spent most of his life in prison, Uno, a gambler with great intuition, Nico, an otaku whose body reacts strangely to drugs, and Rock, a bruiser with a love for food. The daily shenanigans of the 4 prisoners always cause trouble for the building supervisor, Hajime Sugoroku, who desperately tries to prevent them from breaking out of Nanba. In 2nd place is O Dorobo Jing. King of Bandits Jing is a series of short, usually disconnected stories starring the young boy who calls himself Jing, the Bandit King. Although Jing's reputation seems to extend throughout the universe of the series, many enemies underestimate him, not expecting the great King of Bandits to be a little kid. The stories vary a great deal, especially between the initial manga series and the sequel series Jing, King of Bandits Twilight Tales. In the initial series, stories often border on comical and cartoonish. Each arc includes a new treasure or object that Jing is seeking, a woman or girl who accompanies him somewhere along the way on his quest for this item, and an enemy that either wants to protect what it is he intends to steal or get to it before he does. In 1st place is Hinomaru Zumo. In professional sumo, there are no weight classes. It's a savage sport where the strongest survive, and anyone willing to test their mettle can step into the ring. There is, however, a minimum size requirement to be a pro sumo wrestler. And young Hinomaru Ushio, incredibly talented and hardworking though he may be, does not meet that requirement. This small boy has big dreams of reaching the highest class of sumo, Hinoshita Kaisen. The only way he could possibly go pro is if he becomes the high school Yokozuna, a title given to the strongest wrestler in the high school tournaments. Ushio is under a lot of pressure, as well as a time limit. If he can't show off his skills in the high school tournaments, he may lose his chance to go pro permanently, and the odds are stacked against him. Instead of enrolling at Ishigami High, the best school for sumo in Japan, he enrolls in Odachi High and must build a sumo club from the ground up with the one devout member, Shinya Ozeki. Odachi High is the true underdog of the sumo world, but Ushio has to push forward with all his strength if he is going to make it professionally. Alright everyone, that's it for today's video. Did you guys enjoy this list or find any anime you're interested in? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. And please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you're new, remember to hit the notifications button so you never miss